That was a good one. Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Toledo. At this time, I would like to ask Chuck Mann to come to the podium to deliver a reflection and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord, I am grateful for health and the strength to play golf. Help me to never take my physical abilities for granted, and Lord, when frustration sets in, grant me the grace to remain patient. Help me to keep my composure and continue with a positive attitude. Grant me the serenity to accept the shots I miss, the courage to try again, and the wisdom not to throw my clubs into the pond. The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chuck, thank you very much. As we begin our meeting, I'd like to thank and acknowledge Browning Cousineau as this month's sponsor and Rotarian Brent Cousineau. Brent, thank you for your support. I joke with Brent that with last week's attendance of over 500, he certainly got a good bang for his buck this month. So, at this time, I would like to invite Alex Dew to the podium for a quick update on the Rotary golf outing and whatever costume he's wearing today.
Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. So, just a couple of quick items. Our golf outing is quickly approaching. You might ask why I'm wearing this silly hat. All right, so our golf outing is May 5th, which is also Cinco de Mayo. Okay, and this was Gene Dress's idea. Thank you very much, Gene. First of all, I'd like to thank deeply our sponsors who are already committed, and I would like to also thank those that are considering sponsorship because we still need a few more. We need a par sponsor, which would be absolutely wonderful. We need a couple of putting green sponsors. We need a heckling hole sponsor. So Kevin, thank you, Kevin. Kevin has agreed to be the heckler on the heckling hole. Guys, just imagine what you're in for. All right, it's only $1,500 to sponsor that hole, and we've got everything else taken care of for you. So, and then another big improvement this year is we will be accepting credit cards, debit cards, Diners Club card, anything you have. Okay, we'll have swipers right there for you. So if you forget cash, like that happened last year, just make sure you bring a card. The agenda looks like this: 11:30 lunch and meeting, 1 o'clock shotgun start, and then 6 o'clock is the awards banquet and party. And as I said, it's going to be a Cinco de Mayo theme. We're going to have fajitas for lunch, and we might even have a margarita fountain at the party. So we got to work that one out. Anyway, again, thank you, everybody. I want to have my committee stand real quick. Like 75,000. So we're shooting for 100,000 this year, and we're doing pretty good. So thank you for that. Yes, Tim. It's at Sylvania Country Club. Thank you. That's a kind of an important piece. So if I can have my committee members please stand. This group is doing a fantastic job. I want you to know that. and thank you. So, and then one final plug, opening day on Friday. We've got the balcony overlooking the the baseball field. So please come to that too. Thank you.
So this is why we don't let Alex give updates. So I was going to invite the co-chair of our membership committee to talk about her event. But Alex did it, so we'll save you the time. Friday, opening day, scan the QR code to register. Free for Rotarians, $20 for guests. And we will not have a margarita fountain, but it'll be a great time. So, all right. Emily, we saved you a meeting. All right, so a couple of president's remarks. It continues to be a great year with Toledo Rotary, so please join me in welcoming the newest members of Toledo Rotary. If you are in the room, please stand. Lisa Anderson with Owens Corning, Dr. Trevor Bates with Mercy College, Tom Daniels with Knight Insurance, Ann Ebert and Rachel Gandian with Cherry Street Mission, Jamie Helt with Highland, Shannon Lohr with Huntington, Mike Moore with the Traumatic Brain Injury Resource Center, and Jim Wise from V&A Risk Services. This puts us, Jim, thank you for being here. This puts us at 86 new members since July 1st, which marks the largest growth for our club as far back as our database goes. So that is a great testament to the hard work of our membership committee and the hard work of our membership salesperson, Karen. But it also means that we've got a lot of work to do as Rotarians to make sure that those 86 new members feel welcome. It's also important to point out that by the math, a little over half of our members are new in the last 2 years. That means that if you don't know someone around the table, chances are there's other people that don't. So don't be ashamed to introduce yourself. If you don't recognize somebody and you're a longtime Rotarian, please make sure that everybody around the table gets a chance to meet the new folks. All right, we've got a couple of member anniversaries this month. Congratulations, Eddie Zemke and Mark Bevington on celebrating their 1-year anniversary as they joined us in March of 2024. I saw Eddie here. I don't know if I saw Mark as well. Congratulations. We're going to skip all the way to the end of the list. And congratulations, George Eistetter, who's celebrating 50 years with Toledo Rotary this month. So, thank you. And lastly, Jamie Adams and Keith Burwell are celebrating their birthday today. Keith would want you to believe that they're both the same age, but really just Jamie does not look good. That's all that means. He doesn't come to meetings. I don't have to worry about him hearing that. All right, if you haven't already, please take a moment to donate to the Toledo Rotary Club Foundation. 2 anonymous donors are generously matching any $25 donation from the members who have not ever made a donation to our foundation. There's about 164 of them, most of them new members. There's 1 week left to take advantage of that challenge as it ends March 31st. There's a QR code on the tables at the bottom of the March sponsor flyer for you to easily contribute. And our Foundation Advisory Committee, where those dollars directly relate to what we're able to give out next year. The Foundation Advisory Committee meets April 3rd at 8 o'clock in the Glass City Center in Summit Room A. Note that is Thursday, April 3rd, not our normal first Friday. All right, we have an incredible discussion. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped over guests. Do we have any guests in attendance? I went right past that one. If you want to head right to the middle, and Zach has a microphone for you to introduce your guest.
My guest today is a good friend, Tony Corey, baseball player at Ohio State, at The Ohio State University, and a sales rep with the Stryker Corporation, right? Good. Tony Corey. Go Bucks.
All right, Tony, thank you for being here. All right, so we have an incredible discussion teed up for you today. Haha, some of you already got it. That's the extent of my humor. That's all I got. Today we are thrilled to welcome two familiar faces who've helped shape the story of sports and storytelling in Northwest Ohio. Judd Silverman, the longtime executive director and driving force behind Toledo's LPGA tournament. Since its inception in 1984, Judd has helped elevate the tournament into one of the premier stops on the LPGA Tour, raising millions for local children's charities and showcasing Toledo on a national stage. Now, as the tournament enters an exciting new era, he's here to share what's next. And moderating today's conversation is Chris Peterson, an Emmy Award-winning journalist and beloved former news anchor who spent more than 20 years at WTOL. Chris continues to be a dynamic voice in our community. We're honored to have her guide today's discussion. So please join me in welcoming Judd Silverman and Chris Peterson for a special fireside chat about the future of Toledo's LPGA tradition. When it's Q&A time, I'll steal Judd's mic.
Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Judd and I are super excited about this. In case you've ever wondered the answer to the question, what do old newscasters do when they go out to pasture? This is it. We get to do really fun stuff, like interview really incredible people. And my 30-year relationship with Judd Silverman has been one that's been not only impactful to me, but inspirational to me because of everything that he's been able to accomplish here in Toledo. So I was really excited to be able to have this conversation with you, Judd. And I think to let people know where we're headed, it would be helpful to go all the way back to the beginning. So you all might find out a few things about Judd that are really interesting, but I think it's important because it will help you understand how this journey has escalated to this wonderful place that we have it now. So Judd, do you remember the first time you picked up a golf club? Was golf always a big part of your life?
Not really, but my dad, Bert, who was a Rotarian, by the way, and known as Mr. Downtown Toledo. He had a business back in the 60s and 70s called Downtown Toledo Associates. And what he did was he would go around the community to business leaders like yourselves, get them to pay dues, and he would put out a regional and national letter to try and attract business to downtown Toledo, retail, office space, even developers to come in and build apartments and that type of thing. And he also put on events. So he was the first one to do fireworks on the river. And he also did a New Year's Eve celebration right in Levis Square, where they dropped the ball off the parking garage next to it at midnight. He had a big stage, and he'd have high school bands playing. So this is the kind of household I grew up in. He was also chairman of the Board of Community Relations for 26 years, a position he volunteered for. And then he was appointed to the Ohio Civil Rights Commission by the governor in the early 70s. So that was my dad. And unfortunately, he died in 1978 at the age of 59. He had a heart attack when he was in Mayor Doug DeGood's office, probably pitching the mayor on helping him with the New Year's Eve celebration or the July 4th fireworks. But as many of us have wonderful parents, my dad definitely was my idol and best friend, and I was 21 when we lost him. But he just set such a great example, and his love of Toledo, well, there was only one way for me to go after growing up in that household, and that was to absolutely love this community. He was the one that gave me a couple of golf clubs when I was 7 years old. You know, I started hitting a ball then and fell in love with the game. But I played other high school sports and stuff, but I was fortunate to play college golf. And, you know, I think that's what led me to, I always wanted to be a pro golfer, but when you play Division I college golf, you find out really quickly if you can make it or you will never make it. And I was on the latter part of that one. So I had met a couple guys that were on the PGA Tour. One of them was Gary Koch, the other one was Craig Stadler. And I graduated college in '79, came back to Toledo, really didn't know what I wanted to do, got my real estate license. Interest rates were at about 18% in 1980, 81, as you can recall. And I got a call from Craig Stadler to say, would you like to come out and caddy for me during the 1982 PGA Tour season? And I said, you've got to be kidding. This is too good to be true. Yes, I'd love to go out there and travel the world with him. And it was a great experience. I did it for 16 months. And while I was out there caddying, that's where I had this idea, because when you go to these cities and I saw firsthand what these tournaments meant to the community, how the community came together for great causes. The money that these tournaments raised for local charities was very much an inspiration to me. And at that time, all those tournaments, most of them had celebrities. Their name was in the title of the tournament: the Bob Hope Desert Classic, the Bing Crosby Clam Bake, the Sammy Davis Jr. Hartford Open, the Glenn Campbell Los Angeles Open, the Andy Williams San Diego Open. So I just thought, I don't know, it just hit me one day, well, why don't we try and bring a tournament to Toledo on an annual basis? And Jamie Farr, heck, it was 1982. MASH had just gone off the air, and just thought, why not? So,
But Judd, you were caddying with the PGA, but in your head, you're thinking, let's bring an LPGA tournament here.
well, initially, I did look at the PGA Tour schedule, and it was booked. And I looked at the LPGA schedule, and there were many openings on it. And just by chance, we were in Houston, and I had a couple days off, and that's where the LPGA's offices were. And I just cold called the LPGA, and I said I represented a group of Toledo, Ohio business people who were interested in bringing an LPGA event to Toledo. If I would have told them that I was a broke caddy on the PGA Tour, I'm sure I wouldn't even gotten in the office. But as luck would have it, Chris, the commissioner at that time was a gentleman by the name of John Laupheimer, and he just happened to be in town, because these commissioners, they travel to go to each tournament and that type of thing. So I found myself sitting there with John Laupheimer in his office, and he couldn't have been nicer. And he basically told me what we would need to do, how much money we'd have to raise before we would be in a position to sign a sanction agreement with the LPGA. It was like $250,000 back in those days. Heck, last year, the winner of our tournament got $250,000. But so at the same time, I was trying to reach Jamie Farr. I got the name of his agent, a woman in Los Angeles. I started, well, there was no texting, there was no emails. I was writing letters to her, and finally got a letter back from her saying, why don't you give me a call, because I really don't know why Mr. Farr would want to put his name on a women's golf tournament in Toledo, Ohio. But like many salespeople, there's hurdles to get where you want to go, right? So came back to Toledo after caddying for 16 months. Mike Porter was a good friend of my dad's. Mike was president of the Chamber of Commerce at the time. And before that, he was city manager. And I went and chatted with Mike, and he said, you know what? I've got a desk and a phone here for you, and I'll point, I said, I have to raise $250,000, and I want to do it in like $15,000 to $20,000 increments by getting companies committed. And by that time, I did get a letter back on after MASH letterhead from Jamie Farr saying he would lend his name to this tournament. So Mike Porter pointed me in the direction of about 20 business leaders, and I made appointments to go see them. And thankfully, people committed, and we got the tournament off the ground in 1984. So, you know, very fortunate, that the commissioner from the LPGA was friendly, wanted to help us bring a tournament to Toledo, that he was in Houston when I just happened to be there, and thankfully Jamie Farr lent his name to this. So you can imagine a 26-year-old kid going around to meet with people like you, but I had this letter from Jamie because the first question was normally, do you really have Jamie Farr committed to this thing? And I'd show him the letter, and we were lucky enough to get the tournament off the ground. But I do want to say, the commissioner said, look, you need an underwriter for this tournament because you're going to lose money the first year, probably the first 2 years. And as fate would have it, I got a call from a guy I played junior golf with, Mark Stockwell, who grew up in Bryan, and at the time was an accountant with what is today Ernst & Young. And his nickname's Bogey. I'm sure many in this room know Mark Stockwell. And Bogey called me and he said, hey, Judder, I hear that you're trying to bring an LPGA event to Toledo. Tell me about this. I said, well, I've been around town. We've raised the money that the LPGA would sign an agreement with us to get the tournament off the ground, but we don't have an underwriter. And he said, well, I'm on the board of the Ronald McDonald House. Let me go to this next meeting. We're always looking for fundraisers. So he goes, and as fate would have it, Don Michael, a guy that grew up with Jamie Farr in the north end of Toledo, Woodward High School, who owned about 11 McDonald's at that time, was on that board. And as it turned out, the McDonald's owner-operators of Northwest Ohio underwrote that first tournament. We promptly lost $19,000. But Jamie came back, as he did for 27 straight years. He always brought celebrities with him. That first one, he brought McLean Stevenson with him from MASH and Wayne Gretzky, the hockey player. The McDonald's owner-operators paid off the 19 grand and said, we'll give you another shot next year. And luckily, the tournament made $55,000 in year 2. In year 3, we started our own 501c3, and since that time, the tournament's donated $14.3 million to over 200 Northwest Ohio children's charities.
That's amazing, right? And that takes huge vision. There are only...
I had nothing to lose, so...
It's kind of that, I was going to say, it's that naive, you don't know what you don't know, that propelled you forward, Judd. But people could see the vision that you had, and with also Jamie on board. Yes. But you also had some folks, I mean, this took a huge amount of collaboration to have from the community to have this happen. And everybody was on board with, we love Toledo, we want to bring something great to Toledo, and we want to showcase Toledo to the world in this way. In fact, when you initially started, the Ronald McDonald House was the only charity that you were benefiting with the tournament. And Don Michael, oddly enough, was the one that said, hey, why don't we spread the wealth?
Yep, absolutely right, Chris. After we formed this 501c3, obviously we had a board of trustees. Don was on that. Mark Stockwell was on that. Mark Stockwell is still on it 41 years later. And it was Don who said after a few years, I think we should start spreading the money around the community. You know, pretty amazing that the guy that really built the Ronald McDonald House in Northwest Ohio had that kind of vision. So of the $14.3 million that's been spread around the community, the Ronald McDonald House has been a core charity every year, and they've received about $2 million of that. So, as I like to say, you know, anybody that owns 11 McDonald's franchises back in the 70s, pretty wise business person. So, you know, it was just, Don was that kind of guy, and he was so generous and with his own money, and just a great leader. And we've been so fortunate, Chris, to have a board of trustees, and several of you have been on our board. Like any 501c3, we can't operate without the expertise that you all bring to our business to help us grow the business, make the right decisions, so that we can stay in business a long time. And our 501c is no different.
It is unusual, though, in the world of golf tournaments because I believe we were only one of 2 charity golf tournaments on the LPGA circuit. Is that correct, Judd?
Well, I think we are now one of 2, but over the years, there were many more than that.
That have not survived like ours did.
I think it's the best business model for a professional golf tournament. Most PGA Tour events are 501c3 models. But times change, and that doesn't mean that the tournaments that aren't 501c3s aren't giving back to the community. Like Meyer owns their own tournament in Grand Rapids. Okay, it's not a 501c3, but they've got a line item on the expense side of that budget that gives money back to that community. The same with Dow Chemical. They have a LPGA event up in Midland. They own that event, but they give a lot back to local charities there. So, but personally, you know, I really like the 501c3 model so that we can have people like you serve on our board and help us make good business decisions.
The model that you have kind of put forth, Judd, has really helped the Toledo community, but also just the awareness of this tournament. You know, to have 4 days of television coverage where everyone's, you know, learning about our community and seeing the beautiful things that are here is also really important. So there's a sense of ambassadorship that goes along with this tournament as well for our community.
Absolutely, and you know, television has evolved, where for many years, if you wanted television in that business, it's called a time buy. You had to buy the time. Now the LPGA has a agreement with the Golf Channel. However, there's still a large production cost associated with that, and we are, up until this year, we were underpinned to pay for that television. And the way the model works is the title sponsor is putting up a lion's share of the money, and they're also helping pay for the production. So that production the last few years has cost us between $600,000 and $700,000 a year. But again, we have no choice. That's just part of the sanction agreement, which is fine as long as you have a model where that title is putting in enough money to cover the purse and the cost of television. Everything else will come together, because there's only one reason I'm still sitting up here, and that's because of the Toledo, Ohio business community and the support that you all have given this tournament for 40 years. So it is truly a community event, truly a community event. But the television part of that is sort of the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
It is great that we were on television for 4 days. That title sponsor gets about 54 national 30-second commercial units in return for paying for that. They have to use 27 of them up over the 4 days, and then they can they can use the other 27 across the year in other LPGA programming. So that's how the game is played on the LPGA Tour. On the men's tour, CBS, NBC, Golf Channel are paying billions of dollars in media rights fees for the right to broadcast PGA Tour events. So you turned on the television yesterday, there was NBC from Tampa, Florida, Valspar tournament. You know, the week before, the Players' Championship on NBC. So it's just, there's a difference between the men's and women's game right now. Now, the women's game has come a long way in terms of purse amounts, in terms of television coverage. All the tournaments now are on television. That's a big thing. And they do get media rights fees from different parts of the world. They do get media rights fees from Asia, Europe, for example, because women's golf is huge in Asia and in Europe. So those countries are willing to pay media rights fee to get the live feed of all LPGA events. And about 10 of those events are in Asia, and 3 of them are in Europe. So the women's tour is really a global tour, which is great. And right now, I think when we started in 1984, if you would have been out at Glengarry Country Club and looked at the leaderboard, they were all American players. Nancy Lopez, Lori Peterson, Julie Inkster, Patty Sheehan, Joanne Carner, Kathy Whitworth, and the list goes on. Now, the LPGA Tour is represented by women from 60 countries. 60. And I don't know if you remember when Sari Pak first came to Toledo back in the 90s. Her agent was from IMG, a good friend of mine, Jay Burton, Cleveland. He called me one year in the 90s. He said, "Hey, do you have any sponsor exemptions left? We get 3 sponsors exemptions." I said, "Yeah, I've got 1 left." He goes, I want you to invite this young woman from Seoul, South Korea. I'm like, Seoul, South Korea? Really? Because, you know, in my mind, how's this person going to attract anybody to our tournament? He said, "I'm just telling you, she's going to be a superstar. Her name's Sari Pak." Well, I've known Jay Burton for a long time. That guy represents all sorts of professional golfers. I have nothing but respect for him. I'm like, okay, send us Sari Pak. Sari Pak comes. She misses the cut. She walks into my office in the office trailer afterwards, hands me a sleeve of balls, autographed, says thank you, because that's the only 2 words I think she knew in English at the time. And the next year, she won. We gave her another sponsor's exemption the next year. But the week before our tournament, she happened to win this tournament that was being held in Kohler, Wisconsin the week before. Oh yeah, it's the U.S. Women's Open Championship that she won, and then came to Toledo and shot 61 in the second round and won our tournament for the first time. And then she had 4 more victories in Toledo, 5 times. So I'm glad I trusted Jay, number 1, for his thought on Sari. And Sari was unbelievable. And her English got better and better as time went on. Incredible. She's in the LPGA Hall of Fame. And she's only one of 2 players to have won the same tournament on the same golf course 5 times. But what she did to women's golf in Asia, and really around the world, but especially in Asia, incredible, absolutely incredible. Well, you know, the LPGA Tour has 60 countries represented, and a lot of it was because of that woman alone. So,
Yeah, we've had some amazing people here over the years. I mean, the biggest names in golf have been here at Highland Meadows with us in our community, Judd, which has been really exciting. You were just naming off a bunch of people. Let's come back to present day and talk about the change that is happening here. because I think this is a really exciting pivot. You told me that you thought women's golf was really exciting because in college, the boys and the girls teams, men's and women's golf teams, you guys practiced together, played together, and you saw how great these women were on your team. And we have seen just impeccable golf played here at Highland Meadows, some amazing moments. And some of those names that you just named from back in the day at Glengarry, we might be seeing again then this year, right?
That's right.
Tell us about the new format and how that came about.
Thanks, Chris. Back to the business model. In today's world, well, when we started, you did not need a title sponsor. Just like all those PGA Tour events that had celebrity names on them. Those celebrities, they weren't putting money into the tournament. The tournament was probably paying them to put their name on the tournament. But as purses grew through the years, the model changed. And so now you have to have corporate partners to be the title sponsors. And no different from us, we've had some great title sponsors through the year. Kroger was our first. Owens Corning was our second. Marathon Petroleum was our third, and Dana Incorporated was our fourth. But as everyone knows, business works in cycles, and Dana decided not to renew as our title sponsor. And we talked to a lot of different companies. We had the LPGA helping us try and find a new title sponsor. They weren't able to, but the LPGA came up with a pivot idea for us. They said, while you continue to look for a new title sponsor, why don't you try this in 2025? Why don't we combine the LPGA Legends Tour, which is women 45 years and up, and the Epson Tour, which is the young women who have probably been college All-Americans, have always had a dream of playing on the LPGA Tour, have graduated, they've turned pro, now they're on the Epson Tour for the men. It's called the Korn Ferry Tour. The only way to get to the PGA Tour is to play your way through the Korn Ferry Tour, and they take the top 25 players on that money list on the Korn Ferry, and those 25 get to graduate to the PGA Tour. Same with the Epson Tour for the women. Top 25 money winners each year get moved up to the LPGA. So
they're like the mud hens of golf.
That's right.
Right? Yeah.
That's right. If you looked at AAA baseball, AA baseball, I would say the Epson Tour is the AAA. And, we've all seen the success of the Men's Champions Tour. That's what the LPGA Legends Tour is all about. So, like Chris said, we're hopeful that we can see some of the players that played in Toledo for 15, 16 years of their career. Nancy Lopez, Julie Inkster, Laura Davies, who won her first tournament here in 1985. These are all LPGA Hall of Fame players. Kari Webb, Annika Sorenstam. So these are the women that might be coming back to Toledo. We're hopeful that those big names will come, but we'll have 42 legends playing. Each of those tours, we're going to have 2 tournaments in one. So the legends, those 42 legends, are going to be playing for a purse of $150,000, and the 100 Epson Tour players are going to be playing for a purse of $300,000. And Stacy Lewis has agreed to be the tournament host. Now, Stacy is an LPGA Tour player. She's not old enough to be a Legends player, but she was born in Toledo, and she just captained the U.S. Solheim Cup team to victory last year in Washington, D.C., and I asked her if she would be willing to be the tournament host this year. It sort of happened with other LPGA events. Nancy Lopez did it for a tournament that Chick-fil-A used to sponsor down in Atlanta. And Stacy got back to me and she said, I will do this on one account. And I'm thinking, how much is this going to cost us? She said, I'll do it on one account, that you never pay me a dime to do this. I said, you got a deal. So, yeah, very nice. Very nice of her.
And by the way, this Legends Tour, philanthropy is no stranger to this tour. They've raised more than $24 million on this tour that goes back into charities as well. So this is something that is in their hearts and something that they do not only to stay active and playing and practice and perform and show us what great golf looks like, but they also, it's their hearts that are in this. And we're going to see that right here in Toledo this year.
Yeah. So again, it's a pivot. I get asked all the time, so do you think you'll go back to the LPGA Tour? I said, yeah, we're one title sponsor away from doing that in 2026. So, but at least we're gonna continue on our mission, which is to host a professional women's golf tournament for the benefit of Toledo, Ohio Children's Charities. So our board made that decision to move forward with this new format, and we're still sort of looking for a name title sponsor of that event. If anybody has any interest in that, please contact me. But in the meantime, you know, we have all of the same events that we've always had. When you come out to Highland Meadows, it will look the same, but you know, I've left a flyer there for everybody on your chair there on the table. 3 of those events, one, Chris has been unbelievable to, has always been the MC of our Women's Leadership Summit. This will be our 9th year for that event. And when it started 9 years ago, we did it in the Champions Pavilion at Highland Meadows. It had about 100 women attend the first one. And now we do it right here in the Glass City Center. And last year we had 700 Northwest Ohio business women attend this event. Owens Corning underwrites the keynote speaker, and Chris is the MC. I call Chris the First Lady of Toledo. Is that not what she is? She is the First Lady of Toledo.
Well, we share that. We both love this community, right? I came here for 2 or 3 years in 1994, and 30 years later, I'm still here. So I definitely share the love for our community. Those of us who've been attending this tournament year after year after year, Judd, because I always look forward to it, and it's something that I think shows our community off like a few other events that we can do here. It's going to seem like the same tournament that people are familiar with. You're still going to have the Champions Pavilion. You're still going to have all of these spaces for people to mingle and all of that, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, you know, these special events, as we call them, you know, through the years, like any business, you're always trying to find new ways to generate revenue. And our business is no different. So the Women's Leadership Summit was one way to do that, and this other event called An Evening With that we started 3 years ago. Last year, we brought in Jim Nance from CBS Sports, who was absolutely amazing. The year before, we had Peyton Manning, and the year before that, we had David Faraday and Gary Koch from NBC Sports. This year, in honor of Tommy Romer's alma mater, Ohio State, we are bringing in the 2 captains of the Buckeye team, Jack Sawyer and Will Howard, the quarterback. And, yeah. And we're going to do that event on June the 23rd at the Stranahan Theater. Tickets will go on sale soon, but if anyone has any interest in attending, please call our office, email me, because the premium tickets are on sale right now, and then we'll put some general admission tickets on sale in a few weeks to that. But we've got 20 members of the Northwest Ohio State Marching Band alumni that are going to be there that night, and then former Toledo sportscaster, now Columbus sportscaster, Dave Holmes, who used to be at TV 13, will be the MC and the moderator. He was the one that helped me get the 2 players before I had to deal with their agents. And we're excited to have Jack Sawyer and Will Howard be this year's celebrity guests for that event. So,
Dave is the second biggest fan after Tommy. Right?
okay. Yeah, exactly.
So, Judd, I mean, there are all these things that are really exciting, but I want to go back to just kind of the women's sport event component here, because women's sports is, we have seen a little bit of a tidal turn in the interest in women's sports in the past couple of years, which is so exciting when you watch NCAA women's basketball, WNBA, and you know, a lot of that happens because 40 years ago, you had an idea to bring women and to elevate this particular golf tournament in a way that is really significant and important, like all of the other LPGA tournaments, you know, then gaining momentum and steam. This is a special opportunity, though, for us to see not only the legends of the game of golf, but also to see the Sayri Pucks of tomorrow. We talk about that. We have a few of these Epson Tour players on here every year, and you see them go on to these amazing things in the next few years. So how awesome to have these seasoned women legends who are paired with these young girls that probably also have questions, and they can mentor them, you know, during this time.
And that really is the reason Stacy Lewis was willing to put her name on the event. She saw a mentorship opportunity here for the legends. And a matter of fact, on Wednesday afternoon of the event, all 140 players are going to get together, and the legends players are going to mentor these younger women that are just starting on their professional careers to pursue their dreams. And I'm sure they'll teach them some things, right? And answer questions that they might have, and hopefully build relationships with them so that if they run into problems, there's somebody they can call to talk to who's been through life on the tour. I'm amazed. I mean, we've been providing, you have to provide childcare. Every LPGA tournament has to do it. And they have 2 or 3 people that travel with the tour that are in childcare every week, but we have to provide the facility and things like that. Well, when we started, there was maybe 2 moms on tour. Now, I mean, you've got 20 kids in the childcare.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just amazing because it's not easy. You know, it's a tough life. I mean, traveling every week into a different city with your children with you. Maybe your husband is working elsewhere at home and can't travel on the road. So that's been amazing to me to watch these women who just continue to pursue their dreams. Stacy Lewis is such a role model, and she has a 6-year-old daughter now, Chesney. And people ask Stacy, well, are you going to retire now that you're mom? No, I'm not going to retire. I'm going to show my daughter that I can continue to pursue my dreams as a professional golfer and be a great mom as well. And I give all those moms so much credit for how they travel the world and still play this game at an elite level, because you go out and watch them from the tees they're playing at Highland Meadows. They're playing from like 6,600 yards. And last year, Shanati Wanasayan from the Philippines, 20 years old, she's about that big, she shot 21 under at Highland Meadows from 6,600 yards. We could put a scramble team together out of the best golfers here, and let's go see if we could shoot 21 under over 4 rounds, you know. So amazing. But that mentorship, I think, will be a great thing for this year's tournament for sure. And I do want to mention, I know we're probably got to get back to work. I do want to mention our charities this year. I saw Jen Strauss from Nationwide Children's Hospital Toledo here. Nationwide Children's will be one of our charities again. ProMedica Ebide Children's Hospital, the Ronald McDonald House, of course, core charity. a new core charity that started last year, the Maumee Valley Habitat for Humanity, the Women Build that they do, the one home that is pretty much built by women, amazing. And then the Jamie Farr Scholarship Fund of the Greater Toledo Community Foundation that we started many years ago. But, you know, I do want to say something about Nationwide Children's Hospital. I'm 68 years old. And in my lifetime, I don't think there's been a better, maybe saving the Jeep plant, which is like 3,500 jobs. What Nationwide Children's Hospital has invested in this community, to me, is the greatest gift I've ever seen this community receive. Nationwide Children's Hospital didn't need to come to Toledo. Last year in Columbus, they had 1.8 million patient visits from 50 states and 40 countries. They have 14,000 employees at Nationwide Children's Hospital Columbus. No, they saw a need in Toledo because all these sick kids were leaving Toledo and coming down to their hospital, and they said to themselves after a while, what's wrong with the pediatric care in Toledo? And they came up and they looked, and they realized why so many sick kids, because it was difficult. It's difficult for two, and I'm not putting anything down. I'm just saying for overall care. I mean, Ebi Children's Hospital at ProMedic at Toledo Hospital is fantastic, and what Mercy was doing at St. V's, now Nationwide Children's owns Mercy's Children's Hospital, but they saw a need and they acted on it, and to date, they've hired 35 specialists. One of those specialists is Dr. Jim Geiger, who lives in Toledo and for the last 30 years has driven to Ann Arbor to the University of Michigan Children's Hospital every day of his life. Now Jim Geiger and his 3 partners have left U of M and are now fully employed in Toledo by Nationwide Children's Hospital Toledo. These are the kind of specialists that Nationwide Children's is hiring and bringing to this community. Why? They don't want kids from Toledo coming down to Columbus. They know how much that affects a family. They want mom and dad to be able to sleep in their own beds at night so that their children can get great care in this community and it doesn't disrupt the family. That's why they're here. And to me, this has been the greatest gift I've ever seen this community receive. And why don't we know more about it? My opinion on that, Nationwide Children's, they are so humble. They are so humble. They could be buying front page ads, full page ads in the Blade every day if they wanted to. It's just not how they operate. So again, sorry to get off on that tangent, but I've seen it firsthand now in working with Jen Strauss and her team and the Nationwide Children's team. And the collaboration that's going on between ProMedica eBide and Nationwide Children's, fantastic for this community. Thank you, Jen Strauss and Nationwide Children's Hospital.
So we have an opportunity to pay respect and be wowed by the legends of golf this year, as well as to see firsthand the newcomers and the people that are, the women that are going to be wowing us in the years to come. We want to make sure that we are making welcome all of these golfers and spreading the word that this is a really unique opportunity. Judd, is this a first of its kind tournament? Yes, I thought so. So we're the first ones to do something like this, which is awesome for Toledo. So let's make sure that we're getting out there and supporting what they have. I think we have a couple of questions maybe from the audience. Kevin?
I don't know if we do or not, but if we do, we've got time for 2.
Hey, Judd, can you see me? Just making sure. Thanks.
Is that Councilman Sam Meldon?
Yeah, Sam. Hey, here's a question. So you get the title sponsor, you're back like we were used to seeing, but this was such a killer event in 2025. Could you, I'm not trying to give you more work, hardest working man in golf. Could we handle 2 events in 26?
Probably not. But I'll never say never. I don't know. We're hoping to handle 1 this year successfully, and then we'll see where we go from there. And but certainly,
I've never heard you say no, so I just thought, all right, cool.
thank you, Sam. Well, I guess in closing, unless there's another question, all I ask of everyone is, if you could, try and find a way, in some way, to support the tournament, because again, we can't do it without you. And hopefully we've given you enough different things to choose from that it could work for your company to either entertain customers or do something nice for your employees and help us raise money for these great causes. So, yes.
And I just want to say, from a vision of a 21-year-old guy all these many years ago to where we have brought this tournament and how embedded women's golf has become in our community, that is really due to one person. So I just want to give a big thanks to Judd Silverman and everything that he's brought to our community over the years as well. Thank you, Judd.
About one more round of applause for Judd Silverman and Chris Peterson. Thank you very much. As a thank you for both of you for being here, we have a copy of a book that maybe you've both received before, maybe even several times. But we've got another one. We've got an updated one for you. Historical Tales of Toledo, authored by past President Clint Mock. And we were also going to make a donation in both of your names to Rotary International's Polio Plus Fund to join their efforts in eradicating polio. So thank you very much. One more round of applause for Chris and Judd. And make sure you get out to the 2025 Sam Meldon Greater Toledo Classic. Some upcoming dates for you. Friday, March 28th is Mud Hens opening day. We look forward to seeing all of you on the balcony of the Glass City Center. March 31st is our quarterly Service Above Self Day. If you have not already signed up for a service project, you are wrong and you are in trouble. So please sign up again. I've said my goal with doing this is a new event this year that we're doing 4 of them. This is the 3rd of 4. My goal has always been to see as many Rotarians out serving on that day as we would normally have attending lunch. And so we do these on a Monday during our normal lunch meeting to be able to allow you with your current schedule to do that. So please go find a project. If you want an excuse to wear, jeans and mud boots to work, pick the project that aligns with that and tell your boss you got great work to do over lunch. If you're wearing a suit anyway, there's projects that will accommodate that as well. So we look forward to seeing you guys all out for that. Our next regular Rotary meeting is April 7th. George Bullerjohn from Bowling Green State University is going to talk about the history, biology, and causes of the toxic algal blooms in the western basin of Lake Erie. April 14th, we'll have longtime Rotary partner Toledo Metro Parks and Director Dave Zenk give us an update on the success of Middle Grounds Metro Park, but also the latest updates on the riverfront and downtown development. There is no meeting April 21st in celebration of Easter, and on April 28th, we welcome the CEO of Girl Scouts of Western Ohio, Amy Sproles. I mentioned Service Above Self Day. I have to say a huge thank you to all of the Rotary partners and businesses that helped us. We have t-shirts for everyone. If you take a t-shirt, I expect you to wear it while you're serving. This is not pajama shirt for you, all right, hon? Okay. Don't say anything about it, hon. I'm nervous about where that's going. I regret that already. So Toledo Rotarians at work, huge thank you to the business partners. Dunbar, Brad is here somewhere. Brad, thank you very much. Donna Bogan with Hartman Bogan. Buckeye Broadband, Manpower, Toledo Federation of Teachers, Destination Toledo, Mays & Associates, the Scott Center for Observation, Treatment, and Transition, Front Door Marketing, Knight Insurance Group, the Greater Toledo Community Foundation, IC Fluid Power, CareNet, Toledo Lucas County, and KPM Consulting. There were several companies that we also turned down because I feared that the back was already looking like a NASCAR vehicle. You guys are amazing. So thank you for the support. We've got free shirts for all Rotarians. I'm going to try and beat you guys out that door to get to that table so you guys, we can keep track of who's got their shirt and keep track of sizes and all that stuff as well so we know what and if we reorder what we need to get. We have 2 committee meetings. Program committee is meeting in Summit. I'm sorry, program committee is going to meet in this room. Stay here. Youth services is going to meet in Summit D. If you are not currently on a committee, I put you in the same category as the folks who haven't signed up for Service Above Self Day. You are wrong, and now is a great day to fix that. So join youth services in Summit D or stay here for program committee. With that, go out and make it a great day, and we are adjourned.